My name is Tim Needham. I'm the Executive Director at Restoration House STL here in St. Louis, Missouri. And we are an organization that seeks to help youth and young adults who are homeless and at risk of homelessness between the ages of 16 and 26. So one of the objectives that we have at Restoration House is to really help give youth an identity. And we believe that that identity comes through Christ and Christ alone and the local church. And several months ago, I sat down with Pastor John and we started talking about what Restoration House was up to and also what Faith Lutheran was up to. So as we began talking, Pastor John asked me to come in and speak to one of the rooted groups about what we're doing with Restoration House. And so I had the opportunity to come in last April and just share the vision of what we were trying to do and how we were trying to end youth homelessness here in St. Louis. Immediately, we had a good connection with this group. They began running with strategies and ways that they could help out with our objectives and our goals. And through the last several months, they had, unbeknownst to me, been doing several sock drives, because they asked me when they got involved, they said, how can we get involved directly? And strangely enough, like I tell every group, I say, socks. And I got the same response that I always do with people. They're like, why socks? And the reason is because statistically, socks are the #1 item requested by homeless people in that community. So we always tell people we need socks, and that's what we kind of want to be known for, is the sock organization. So they, over the last several months, had gotten their families together, their kids together, and started working with 3 local schools in their community to raise socks and have a sock drive. In fact, one of the kids in the group actually called it Socks for the Streets. And so when I heard that a couple weeks ago, I was blown away that a kid had figured that out and came up with that name. And so we're actually going to steal that, and we're going to put it on our website moving forward. We're going to create a logo for everything. So it's going to be really cool. Socks for the Streets. We love it. I was speaking with Jeff Roth. He's the leader of this small group, and he said that they had managed to accumulate 450 pairs of socks over the last couple months. I had no idea that they were this far along. I was blown away. But to make matters even better, they were going to come down and get involved in our outreach, and they had applied for a grant here at Faith Lutheran, and Faith matched that by $450. So by the time all is said and done, they're going to give us about 1,000 pairs of socks for the homeless here in St. Louis, and that is huge. So really, socks are the starting point of how we get things going, but it just creates the opportunity for us to have more conversations. And when the life group came down several weeks ago to do outreach with us, it was truly the hardest outreach night that we have had to date. Many people remember this night, but it was extremely cold. The wind chill got down to minus 14 degrees. And our objective that night was just to find anybody who was on the streets who are homeless and get them into a shelter that night. So that small group came down and they got to experience that. There was even an individual that we found on the ground. He was lying face down on the ground with no coverings in minus 14 degrees. He was not moving. We ended up having to call 911 to get them to come out and try to rescue this guy. But those kind of scenarios are not common, but nevertheless they exist, and that's why we exist. You know, everybody has value. We believe that every person walking the streets has value and deserves to be reached. So again, thank you so much for the work you guys are doing here at Faith and the life groups that are breathing life into our communities. Our work cannot be done without the local life groups, particularly here at Faith. So again, thank you so much for what you guys are doing, and God bless.